Fuck you, orphans.
I was thinking of making a video regarding some of the dumbest takes I've seen on Twitter about Sonic Frontiers, but instead let's actually try and get our channel cancelled today. It's been fun, and don't worry, I already downloaded all of my videos in case, so screw you all, let's burn down this bridge! Now, truth be told, I wanna actually focus a majority of this video talking about the acting male, in the same way I talked about other channels last year on YouTube. But should be obvious to mention, I'll dedicate the ending fraction on talking about the events happening on June 2022. And depending on how things escalate by the time of this video, I might actually rush a special Grey Line episode due to the relevancy of the situation. But let's go with the heartwarming story first. Back in 2019, me and my co-founder of the channel and best friend Solar Elemental are just hanging around, watching videos, having a good laugh, and talking about the extra credits video. You know, the extra credits video.
There you are, playing the PvP in your World War II shooter, and all of a sudden, you're a Nazi.
And then Solar decides to show me this one clip.
And all of a sudden, you're gay. You didn't ask for this. You didn't choose this. Yet there it is.
And I had a very good laugh. We watched the video, had a wonderful discussion, and that was pretty much it. Fuck you, Uber Eats! It was just a fun time with my homie, didn't think too much about it. Also, I'm today years old that I realized at one point he just puts a Nazi symbol on the podium. Okay. But then around the beginning of 2020, as I was beginning the writing process of the Grey Line show, he decided to suggest me another video of his as a reference that I should look up for online wonders. I think the video was The Decline of Gaming, where he talks about loot boxes, early access, patches, digital stores, a good variety of topics that were very well explained video, but on a strong case-by-case level of disagreement. As in, it's not so much that he's wrong or that I consider him to be wrong, but I can also pinpoint some examples that show the practices being implemented in a way that has been beneficial to both the consumers and the game's lifespan. But that was it for a long time. I didn't see anything from him until way later because I just didn't get that right click with him in order for me to really invest myself into the Act clan per se. I just thought the videos I saw were good and kept it as that. I do consider myself part of the problem when it comes to that. I might watch your content for months on end before I even consider subscribing. I know, I'm disgusting, my family always say it. But after the category section of the Grey Line pilot, I mentioned how what's probably my real sin was to not give channels enough of a chance of really sit down and watch their content on a serious level. Something that would be okay if I was just a regular internet consumer, but given my profession, or better said goal profession, I believe that needs to change. So I took the moment to watch his videos, as many as I could, from his Call of Duty retrospective to his socio-political topics, or even his video responses. And my main impressions are, I believe the Eggman has inspired me the same way the angry video game nerd or nostalgia critic inspired a lot of people back in the day, despite me already heading into a similar direction before knowing about the Eggman. I've been making content since 2015 at the very least, and I've always had a similar philosophy to what the Eggman does, which is instead of just being a crazy asshole, he tries to make his criticism to be as tangible as he can possibly make it, in order to make sure that we can at least say, I understand where you're coming from. There's a Decline Gaming video I mentioned a bit ago, but there's also some of his thoughts on the Halo series. I don't always agree with some of his perspectives on how the series has to go, especially when discussing the ideas of Halo Infinite and Force campaign, but he explains his points well enough that he never comes off as an arrogant with factual opinions, as I like to call those types of people sometimes.
Like so. Elden Ring's graphics are complete fucking trash and I wipe my ass with them. Versus, I wasn't the biggest fan of the graphics and style. Two sentences saying the same thing, but which one do you hate more?
We'll get there. When it comes to his sense of humor, it's always hard to describe comedy since, especially nowadays, you can't just say someone's funny and call it a day.
Oh boy, is it about video games?
The fuck you think it is? Of course we're
But I will say that he does manage to have a really good mix of referential humor and overall reactive punchlines. He definitely knows gaming and meme culture enough to know the type of reactions to use on specific situations.
Because this beta is an absolute disaster. A nuclear launch has been detected. This dumpster fire is set to explode on November 19th.
And that leads me to mention how good he is with his editing. It's not necessarily the most complex thing ever, but he has a good sense of timing and he has a very good attention to detail when using chroma key. That Fallout New Vegas video being the perfect case. God, I love that video. I would have played the game if it was properly built. And there's always something cool when a reviewer actually shows you on screen that what they're saying about the game is actually there. To the point where, I don't know why, but my favorite clip from his Halo retrospective is this.
Brutes are no longer the bullet sponges and boxing champions they were in Halo 2.
I don't know why it makes me laugh, but goddammit, it's just so well timed that I can't help but respect that, you know? And I think that leads me to probably my major aspect to compliment the Ackman for his content. He manages to script his thoughts in a way that's endearing and worth listening to, even if the topics are either too deep or too simple for you. I mentioned this in my original YouTube series. How you express yourself is going to matter way more than what you express. Even when discussing video responses, he takes a moment to actually digest what the person is saying, understand where they're coming from, and then brings his counter argument or maybe even agreement. Hell, even when responding to haters, he actually talks to them like human beings instead of being above all else with like, nah, you can complain all you want. Bye, bitch. I don't care. At the end of the day, we're getting there. Hold on. The last thing I ever thought I'd get from any kind of creator is to actually build an interest in first-person shooters again. Much like Ackman, I've been a Halo fan since the very beginning of the series. Supported all the way until Halo 4, and then I just didn't get an Xbox One, so I didn't play 5. And from what I've known, I didn't miss much. Sorry, tangent. I love the series and I actually enjoy the times I got to be with friends both locally and online. But with the time passing, I always wondered why was I just not having that same energy from playing shooter games anymore. After all, it's just walk, jump and shoot. What's different between games besides the weapons? Well, Ackman's videos actually helped me understand that a lot more. There's actually a lot more depth and details that come from the mechanics of each weapon, the level design, the aesthetic of the game, the variety of levels and modes, how there's an actual meta in shooters that needs to be balanced in order to prevent the matches becoming repetitive. Both of his reviews on World at War managed me to get what Activision has never been able to accomplish. It made me think, wow, this Call of Duty game looks amazing, I wish I could play it. Which matters a lot to me on so many levels. Not only is it the fact that I got interested in an IP that I saw no point on playing ever since I stopped having my high school friends to begin with, but because he manages to communicate the emotional journey that he felt with these games, which is something I consider very important when making reviews, since the point is that it's subjective. So why not just go all out on that in order to be enjoyable? My favorite types of videos from him have to be the ones that focus more on topical essays rather than direct reviews. I use that phrasing because it's in variety, such as talking about Xbox Live Chat, the war against video games, discussing how DICE handled Battlefield 2042, the essays on the story of different companies and IPs. It keeps consistency with the content of the channel while still giving it different flavors every once in a while. If I had to pinpoint what's the element that makes the Ackman stand out from other people that are into the same kind of topics, similar to some of the channels that have also inspired me through the YouTube series, I'd say is his genuine care about the topic, which creates an organic feel to his thoughts and even his jokes, despite being scripted. When he's talking about how bad Battlefield is, he's putting his genuine emotion on how the video is structured. There's definitely a constructed and scripted language in his videos instead of just spouting the first thing that comes out of his mouth, which you'd think will be the standard on edited videos, but hitting that writing style in which you manage to evoke emotion and still writing like you actually understand the topic in question is worth giving the respect.
You know, I never thought I'd be saying The animations in 2042 remind me of a series of handheld games released in the 1980s! I never thought I'd be comparing a state-of-the-art modern Battlefield title to fucking Mr. Game & Watch.
Do I agree with everything he says? Absolutely not. After all, a lot of his videos are primarily opinion-based, even if he does his research, since he's still showing you the information in a way that you can see where he is coming from. I'm not saying he's wrong. Once again, he puts on full display throughout his video that there's evidence to support his argument. I'm saying that there is more discussion that could be made about some of the topics he tackles. With that said, I shall repeat that he makes sure with his writing that he doesn't come out as a person with the definitive answers to anything. He is the act man, not the correct man.
Xbox Live was, and always has been, a beautiful, healthy ecosystem where everyone was pleasant and nobody's feelings ever got hurt. Why is it so quiet all of a sudden?
Alright, it's time for the controversial topic at hand, if you want to see it that way. I don't want to spend more time on this than talking about the Eggman himself, so I'll give you a summary of the events and then leave my general thoughts on the matter. Due to the launch of Elden Ring, like with any FromSoft game, there were people who will come up with poorly written reviews of the game, in particularly one made by Quantum TV, a guy that when facing criticism for his work, his reaction will be to report your video with copyright claims, harass their user and the user's families if he finds your information, by the way he doxes people, and start hate campaigns with the help of his supporters. Something that Eggman did not find okay, so he, acted upon it. I hate myself! And through 2 deep researches into every single aspect of Quantum's behavior that could be considered wrong by YouTube's community guidelines. Ban evasion, harassment, hate speech, cyberbullying, external links, pretty much a buffet of every single thing that a creator could do wrong on the platform in one single account. To which YouTube's response to it was to not only support Quantum TV's actions, but to suspend Eggman's partnership with YouTube indefinitely, since apparently doing that was an actual violation of the community guidelines, as well as penalize with the same fate on everyone that's been trying to cover the story and call out YouTube's hypocrisy. I'm being very brief about this, with only giving you the short context of the situation. You can check out videos made by ReviewTech USA, Camelot331, and Eggman's videos on the topic. They can all still be found, with only one video being scattered on other channels, but still pretty available on YouTube. I'm going to try my best to only send my personal speech on the matter without repeating what others have said, okay? The biggest reality check here is that the main problem is not Quantum TV. It never really was Quantum TV what the real problem was. YouTube and the way its team handles every controversial topic, whether big like the Kappa lawsuit or small like a toxic user on the platform, is the real issue. And what YouTube has been doing is the literal definition of censorship. There is no other way to describe YouTube's actions than by using that term. The easiest and most relatable example is how they handle hate speech. From what I've seen, in their eyes, the only time when YouTube considers a creator to be causing hate speech is when they are calling out other people of doing hate speech. For example, a person makes comments that imply threats of violence and harassment. Someone else calls him out, and it's the one calling him out who gets punished, because they're bringing the attention with the intention of affecting someone directly, regardless of the fact that the attention is to actually respect YouTube's own rules. And the less we talk about their concept of advertising friendly, the better. QTV is not the only case of YouTube missing the point of LGBT hate speech.
A bunch of people make homophobic videos on YouTube. The algorithms correctly detect that and demonetize that and demote that. But then, these algorithms associate talking about LGBT topics in general with being wrong and offensive. And then when they get reviewed by a moderator in a country where being gay is illegal or frowned upon. And the taboo of the topic gets stronger and stronger. And more LGBT people keep getting demonetized. And then YouTube gets sued for LGBT discrimination. Which, yes, they are getting sued for that too.
And if you want an easier example, let's talk about how YouTube's system, aware or unaware, will defend child predators as long as its users don't bring attention to her. They care more about looking good than doing good. And if you want to really stretch it here, YouTube censorship is not limited to this, as its made for kids system and the lack of any interest on what a creator says about its own content creates an environment in which it couldn't be more obvious that, in terms of creativity, working on TV is easier than working on YouTube. Trust me, I know that. Why? Because YouTube is forced to embrace rules to its users, but not any intention of providing tools to them. Has anyone heard of the rating system? And obviously there's the already decade-old discussion about copyright. YouTube's copyright system has not really improved, besides maybe using the ID block system rather than copyright strikes. It's companies who have toned it down a little. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this conversation. There's the CBS situation regarding how every criticism towards the Halo series ended up with the same issues that QTV brings to people, but it could also be shown with how Nintendo started being more receptive towards videos about their products, but have no issue taking down soundtracks and concept art from YouTube and the internet in general. In terms of YouTube and copyright, the game is still the same, and it's been the same since at least 9 years ago. People simply decided to play differently. And the worst part is, as Ackman and almost everyone who has been targeted by YouTube sometime in their lives might know, YouTube can get away with it because it knows creators don't really have options unless they're willing to cut their livelihood dramatically. The reality of the idea of migrating to another website is only ideal when the website has active audience, content feed, and creators, something that no site as of today can match YouTube, since it becomes a cycle in which creators cannot make content for a website with no audience, and the website cannot have audience without content, leading to people going back to YouTube no matter their own corrupted system and lack of interest to improve on it. Or to suck mics on Twitch to each their own. And let me take it back to the main topic here to finish it off. If Ackman is actually watching this video, I'd like to bring an actual message. Not as the one in the current mess on YouTube, but as a content creator in general. We may not agree on everything regarding how we define entertainment, and you may have appeared in my radar very recently, which only makes the whole mess more annoying since it feels like I followed your content a little too late. But after watching your entire content, seeing your journey through all of this, the way you have handled the situation, and the energy you promote with your audience and those who disagree with you, right or wrong, you're one of the most consistent creators that I have seen. Someone with a strong conviction and care for those around you, and I hope this video did you enough justice. And yeah, everyone, go right ahead. If you want to check him out, give him support. Definitely check his Patreon under that same name. Follow him on Twitter under the username that's on screen right now, and Twitch as the Acting Male, where he's been keeping a more active schedule at the time of this video. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you guys later.